Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with peaches and cream. That's right, I'm going to show you how to make what might be the ultimate summer dessert. But that's not all. I'm also going to show you how not to make it. Since even though this recipe is perfect as is, and needed absolutely no improvement, I attempted to do a new variation, which at the time I thought was pretty genius and was going to be amazing, but it actually ended up being none of those things. So officially, I'm glad I tried. But unofficially, I don't know what the heck I was thinking. So with that, let's go ahead and get started by prepping our peach. And we will start that by finding the crease in the skin. And we'll cut in right there until our knife hits the pit. And we'll go ahead and cut all the way around, as if we were doing an avocado. And then hopefully just by twisting, the peach will come apart into two halves. And if it does like this, that means it's called a freestone peach. And we will go ahead and pull out the stone. And by the way, if it doesn't do that, it's called a clingstone peach. And you can still use it, it's just not quite as easy. But anyway, we'll go ahead and remove the pit and cut a slice. And I'll go ahead and trim off the skin, which I guess you could leave on there if you're into something more nutritional, or you just enjoy edible fur. But I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And no, we're not going to do that a slice at a time. I'm just doing this so I could take a taste, to see exactly how sweet this is. Because if it is super sweet, we don't have to do the sugar syrup step. And this piece was good, but it wasn't super sweet. But anyway, after we've tasted for ripeness and sweetness, we'll go ahead and peel off the skin and slice this up. And yes, there is a technique where you dip these in boiling water to peel the skin off, but I'm just going to go ahead and peel the half as shown. And then we'll go ahead and slice that up as thick as we want. And then so I have a little more of a bite-sized piece, I'm going to go ahead and cut these slices in half. And that's it. That's exactly how we're going to prep our peach. So I went ahead and did a couple of those off camera. And once our peach is prepped, we can move on to making our simple syrup, which is done by combining 2 parts sugar with 1 part cold fresh water. And what we'll do is set that over medium-high heat and possibly give it the old shake-a-shake-a. And what's going to happen is this is going to start to boil, and the sugar will disappear and the mixture will turn clear. And once we have that bubbling, we're going to let it cook for exactly 3 minutes before very carefully transferring in our peaches. And like I mentioned, if you taste your peach and it is just so syrupy sweet, then you really do not have to do this step. But the ultra-ripe, super perfect sweet peach is a rare thing. So generally for this, I do recommend doing this extra step. And then what we'll do once all that's been stirred together is just leave it on the heat for like 1 more minute, or until we see our liquid start to bubble again, at which point we will remove that from the heat and transfer it into a bowl to cool. And that's it. Once those do cool down, they are pretty much ready to use. And then traditionally, once this is cooled, we would combine it with regular heavy cream to finish what is one of the greatest desserts of all time. But that is not what I did, because I think I'm smart and creative. I decided to reinvent the wheel. And what follows is my tragic attempt to make something that's already perfect better. And what I did was add some heavy cream to the saucepan, along with some white sugar, and I stirred that together over medium-high heat and waited for it to start to simmer. And the reason I was doing all this is because I know from past experience, if you cook cream for a little while with some sugar and then stir in some lemon juice, once it's cold, it will actually thicken up. And I thought that slightly thicker, little bit sweeter cream would be way better with the peaches, which it was most certainly not. But anyway, like I said, I brought that to a simmer and let it cook for about 3 minutes or so before pulling it off the heat, at which point I went ahead and stirred in about 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And that's it. I simply waited for both of my components to cool down a little bit before putting them together. And once that happened, I went ahead and used a slotted spoon to transfer some peaches into my serving glass. And I used the slotted spoon because I do want a little bit of that sugar syrup in with it, but not too much. And then once I determined I had a perfect portion of peaches, I went ahead and filled that up with my cooked cream mixture. And I have to say, at this point, I was pretty proud of myself. I was like, you know what, Chef John? You really are a smart guy. By heating that cream, you've created something that's going to be even richer and more luxurious and way more delicious probably. And because I was so sure this was going to be fantastic, I actually ended up doing 4. So I went ahead and wrapped those up and popped them in the fridge until they were thoroughly chilled. And while I was waiting, I decided to take all the rest of the leftover juices and add that to a pan and reduce it down until it thickened up a little bit, since I thought that would make a beautiful drizzle for the top. So that's what I did. And once that had reduced by about half, I went ahead and turned off the heat and simply let it cool. Oh, and if you're looking for an insanely delicious ice cream topping, keep this little trick in mind. But anyway, once my peaches and creams were chilled, I went ahead and pulled one out and went ahead and spooned over some of our now chilled peach syrup. Which as I was doing, I thought to myself, that does not look that great. Which in the movie business is known as foreshadowing. But anyway, I syruped the top and grabbed a spoon to dig in and was thoroughly disappointed. Okay, it didn't look that bad. It actually looked pretty good. But my idea for making the cream thicker and slightly sweeter was not a good one. Okay, not only did it kind of clash texturally with the peaches, but also the fact that cream had sugar in it really sort of took away the natural sweetness of the peach. So to summarize, by trying to do more, we ended up with less. Which in hindsight seems obvious now, and I really should have known. But for some reason the universe forced me to go through this exercise. To, I guess, build character? And of course, since there's no accounting for taste, some of you might actually like this. But compared to the classic approach, I did not. And I officially deem this recipe a food wish failure. But as you know, we never let the food win. So I whipped up another batch of peaches, which actually ended up being even sweeter and more orange. But I did the same thing with the simple syrup. And I used a slotted spoon to transfer some into this bowl, where we are going to add an equal amount of pure heavy cream. Not cooked, not sweetened, just good old-fashioned cold heavy cream. And that, my friends, is how you actually make peaches and cream. But don't try to eat it quite yet. This stuff is way better if we wrap it up and pop it in the fridge for a few hours to get really cold, and also to give that cream time to absorb all those beautiful peach flavors. At which point then we can pull it out and possibly drizzle over a little of that optional syrup. And as I finished this up, I was already feeling a lot better. And my earlier frustration faded away, replaced by anticipation for how amazing this was going to be. And it really, really was. Right, that combination between the sweet, sticky peaches and the thinner, unsweetened but still rich, heavy cream really is what makes this dessert so extraordinary. And by the way, no, we didn't forget any ingredients. To me, this is not something you want to add things like cinnamon or vanilla to. Okay, for this, I really don't think we want anything else getting in the way. But of course, having said that, you decide. You are, after all, the queen of your peaches and cream. And whatever pleases your highness is fine with us. But anyway, that's it. Peaches and cream. I think we all learned something here today, which is if you're going to do a video to improve a recipe, pick a recipe that actually needs improving. Like cauliflower pizza crust. And not an iconic, already perfect recipe like peaches and cream. So lesson learned. And in keeping with the simple theme of this recipe, I will finish up by simply saying, I really do hope you give this a try soon. So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.